In the vast, uncharted waters of the Pacific Ocean, a group of ships sailed under the Spanish flag, commanded by a man named Ferdinand Magellan. This wasn't just any voyage. It was a mission to find a new route to the Spice Islands, a place where valuable spices like cloves and nutmeg grew in abundance. But Magellan's journey wasn't just about spices. It was a quest that would change the course of history, and it all began with a shocking act that no one could have predicted. When Magellan's fleet reached the Philippines, they encountered a world unlike any they had ever seen. The islands were lush and green, filled with people who had never heard of the distant land called Spain. One of the local rulers, the Rajah of Cebu, was curious about these strange visitors. He had never seen ships so large, nor men with skins so pale and beards so long. Magellan, a devout Christian, saw an opportunity. He knew that converting the locals to Christianity could not only spread his faith, but also secure a new ally for Spain. So, in a bold move, he decided to baptize the Rajah and his people. The Rajah, whose name was Humabon, agreed to be baptized. Magellan, acting as his godfather, gave him a new name, Don Carlos. It was a powerful gesture, symbolizing the Rajah's new identity as a Christian and a friend of Spain. But the most shocking part of this story happened next. In a traditional Christian baptism, new converts are supposed to renounce their old ways and embrace a new monogamous lifestyle. However, Humabon had a large harem of wives, and he was not willing to give them up. This presented a dilemma for Magellan and the Spanish priests. They could either insist on monogamy and risk losing the Rajah's support, or they could bend the rules and allow him to keep his wives. After some intense negotiations, Magellan and the priests decided to overlook Humabon's little quirk. Each of the Rajah's wives was given a Christian name, and they were all blessed in the name of the new faith. This decision might seem small, but it had far-reaching consequences. It set a precedent for how the Spanish would deal with the native people they encountered. Instead of forcing their ways, they often chose to adapt and compromise. This approach helped them gain allies and establish a presence in the Philippines, but it also led to conflicts and misunderstandings. The baptism of the Rajah and his people was a turning point in Magellan's journey. It marked the beginning of a new era in the Philippines, one where Spanish influence would grow stronger. But it also signaled a shift in Magellan's own character. He had always been a daring explorer, but now he was becoming more than that. He was a religious zealot, convinced that his mission was not just to find a new route, but to spread Christianity to the far corners of the world. As the days passed, more and more people in Cebu came forward to be baptized. By the end of the week, over 2,000 locals had converted to Christianity. It was a personal triumph for Magellan, but it also raised concerns among his crew. Many of the officers worried that Magellan's religious fervor was clouding his judgment. They had been sent on a mission to find the Spice Islands, not to convert the natives. They feared that Magellan's actions could lead to trouble, and they were right. One day, a member of the island's ruling family fell seriously ill. He was so sick that he could neither speak nor move. Humabon came to Magellan, asking for help. Magellan, now seeing himself as a healer, took on the challenge. He baptized the man, his wife, and their children, and then, to everyone's amazement, the man began to recover. Within days, he was up and walking. This miracle made a deep impression on the locals, who saw it as a sign of the power of the new faith, but it also made the officers more worried. They knew that not every sick person would be cured, and they feared what might happen if Magellan's next attempt at healing failed. Despite these concerns, Magellan was determined to stay in Cebu. He believed it was his duty to ensure the loyalty of the newly converted people to Spain. He even made a promise to the Rajah that any who refused to recognize his authority or the divinity of Christ would be punished. This promise was a significant step, as it meant that Magellan was now taking on the role of a colonial ruler, not just an explorer. One of the Rajah's enemies, a man named Lapu-Lapu, who ruled the nearby island of Mactan, refused to submit to the new order. Magellan saw this as a challenge and decided to lead a punitive expedition against Lapu-Lapu. He gathered a group of armed seamen and set out to teach the defiant Rajah a lesson. But what happened next was a tragedy that would change everything. The battle on Mactan was fierce. Despite his bravery, Magellan was killed, and his dream of completing the voyage to the Spice Islands was left unfulfilled. His death marked the end of his personal mission, but the impact of his actions in the Philippines would be felt for centuries to come. The story of Magellan's journey to the Philippines is a tale of discovery, faith, and the complex relationship between exploration and colonization. It shows how one man's vision and determination could shape the course of history, but also how the choices he made had lasting consequences. For the people of the Philippines, the arrival of Magellan and the Spanish marked the beginning of a new chapter, one that would bring both opportunities and challenges. But it all started with a shocking act of compromise, a baptism that changed everything.